Hi, and welcome to Random Rogers Big Picture for the week of April 26th. Looks like we're going to have Trixie here for the start of this. I wanted to talk about something. I don't believe I've ever blogged about this in 33 or 3,400, whatever it is, blog posts. 4.5 years of writing in various places all over the place. Something I'm pretty sure I've never talked about. I heard about it in this context in the brief time I worked at Fisher Investments, beginning of the decade, and they referred to it as something called pride accumulation. You don't want to accumulate too much pride, which essentially means, thinking more of your own, ability in an instance where you may have gotten lucky. And I think as I work through this, you'll understand it. It's a crucial topic of understanding about the extent to which you can think the world of what you're doing and then be humbled. Someone that I know, not a client, considered hiring me, decided not to. I think part of his experience with the market, based on what he told me, is that he knew to get out sometime before things really got ugly in 2000, and it was a good call. Then I saw him kind of socially on an errand thing, and he mentioned something to me about being out of the market again, and this was quite a few months ago. And I'm pretty sure that, and I'll spare you the details for length of the video, that he then got back in at a poor time, maybe did so in a way that was not, that turned out to be particularly painful, and so has had a very rough experience. Good move, then an unlucky move. So, calls into question, were the first two times lucky? Maybe they were, or maybe they weren't. There's no way to know. But here's the thing to focus on is I know from talking to him when he was considering hiring me, and this is like in 2002 maybe, that maybe early 03, but either way it was a ways back. He was very proud of the fact that he did avoid, and again, I'm assuming he told me the truth, that he did avoid the tech crash. And so then to repeat, knowing the personality type, to then successfully repeat that apparently, I would imagine caused him to be, really quite pleased with himself, and I don't blame him. Those are two very good calls. But also knowing him, what took him out, certainly the first time, and I presume the second time, although I don't speak to him as much as I used to, is kind of a gut feeling, just an innate sense that something was not right, as opposed to something analytical or something structural or something, or a better word is objective. It is not an objective measure that took him out of the market. And so in that case, it turned out not to be an objective criteria that put him back into the market. And so he was feeling good, then he was deflated. And this is a common thing, as you can well imagine, that is a common, psychology that happens. He accumulated a lot of pride, as they would say at Fisher, and just relied on his gut, and his gut let him down. This happens to people. This is, and this is kind of, and I hadn't thought about it until now, but kind of one of the reasons, and there's a long list of reasons, why I rely on, the 200-day moving average. And there's plenty of other ones to use. This is just the one that I gravitate toward. But why I rely on an objective measure. When it says trouble, I heed the warning. When it says good times, I heed whatever the opposite of warning is, and I take action. You don't have to go all at once in a rushed fashion, but I heed those, and it takes, my, gut being right or wrong, it reduces the impact of that. when the market went below, and there are head fakes along the way with this 200-day moving averages, maybe there are with others, and I talked about that before, but when it warns that there's problems with demand for equities, I heed the warning. I begin to reduce exposure. Bear markets start slowly. They roll over a period of months, so there's no need to rush, but I begin to heed it essentially on the second day that it looks like it's going to close below. And it's the same thing on the way up. I've bought a couple of things here and there that should lead, and they've done okay. I wouldn't say they've done fantastic, but they've done okay as the market has turned up. But it was more of a rearranging of things than necessarily getting meaningfully net long. I did that in a couple of different spots along the way. But if we were to go, and obviously the 200-day is moving back down, if we go back above it, then I will take steps to re-equitize. I'll probably start small with maybe 2 stocks at 2% each. We're still a ways from my having to do this, and it will be difficult, but I will heed the objective indicator that the market is giving as opposed to relying on my gut. I have a certain opinion. I've talked about this for ages, that we go up, then we go back down again, something like that. Reader Bill B asked me on Friday something to the effect of, this working, the current rally working against my, he used the word prediction. And part of my answer was, well, obviously, of course, I could be wrong. Maybe this is the real thing. It would be surprising for several reasons, but how often does the market surprise people for several reasons? Well, that happens all the time, which is why, no matter what I think, I'm going to heed the warning. And I just can't think of what the opposite of warning is. I'm going to heed that indicator if we go back above the 200-day moving average. It removes all of this pride accumulation stuff. I was quote-unquote right about the bear market, and I've made this point many times before, because I had a history book. I heeded those very objective warnings. That's it. There was there's nothing to accumulate pride on. I owned a copy of the history book, the metaphorical history book, and that is, I think the best thing you can do for yourself, so you're not relying on emotion or gut or any of that other stuff that I always say does people in. And I don't think it's done in this person, but apparently it's hurt him in a way that is meaningful, which is too bad. Hopefully you take that to heart. It's really a look yourself in the mirror type of thing. Are you accumulating pride? This is, hubris is another word for it. And this is a counterproductive behavior. And I do as much as I possibly can to remove that from what I actually execute in client accounts. If I turn out to be wrong on a prediction, okay, I'm going to be wrong, at least 49% of the time. How about that? But that doesn't necessarily impact what happens in clients' accounts, because I'm repeating myself for emphasis, relying on objective measures to dictate the most important of decisions made. All right, that's it. Have a great weekend.